there's the primaries we're going to be using. So we've got something rather like the CMY color wheel. I'm using lemon yellow, fuchsia, and intense blue. Turquoise likes it hotter than the other blues, so this is a nice bluey green. Turquoise is lovely, but it can be fussy. There's turquoise. I think you can get it darker than that too. We talked about mixing dye. Talked briefly about mixing print paste. Mix the two together, you got dye paint. Thickened dye. I'm very likely just to refer to it as dye here today. And then how to mix your thin and your soda soak. Pretty self-explanatory. You can always email me if you have questions. What we're doing today is each table is set up for a round robin. There's 4 different technique modules, kits, whatever. Screen printing, direct application, monoprinting, and what I decided to call alternative applications. It's like a couple different ways that I don't fit with the above. I have time to reformat everything. So we've got the recipes, we've got washing out, and we've got a glossary. So help yourself.
Pass it around.
Yeah, I think one says Lisa on it, but I'm not using it anymore. So, and the other thing to know about the thickener is it will act like a resist. If you wanted to do layers and layers of color and technique on one piece of cloth, you would probably have to wash it out after 2 or 3, depending on how you're applying the fabric. I used a stencil, and I screened clear print paste on. And I'm telling you this now because if you want to give it a try, with the air conditioning in here, it might be dry enough. You could try screening or drawing or stamping some of the clear, because there's a bottle of clear on every table, on your piece of fabric and setting it aside and let it dry, and then come back to that for your last item of the day and go over it with more colors. So it does show you that thickener is wonderful stuff, but it has some issues to be aware of.
That could be used as a batik base then.
Kind of. Yep, you won't get that crackle that you get.
Right.
So we have module 1. You have a tool. There's a putty knife, and you're going to take you are going to lay it out and tape it down at the corners.
This is with the soda ash in it.
Yeah, this is soda soaked. Yep. And again, don't forget to try one of those. Use some clear and do something with it. We're using tape. Ideally, use T-pins. I brought some along. If you haven't seen T-pins, they're shaped like a T. And you would pin on at least all 4 corners. It's just too fiddly for in class. And then you kind of pull it tight. But if you push the pin in, you want to point the pins toward the center.
So they don't pull out.
Right, because if you point it the other way, when you pull the other corner, it's not going to work. There it is. The boards are homegrown padded print boards. And it's a sheet of about 1 inch foam insulation board, and carpet padding, and a piece of muslin. At the end of the day, all the rags that are on the tables, and we have more here, so if you slop, you can have more rags. All the rags and all the board covers are going into this and going home to wash, because I really hate loads of trash can with a bunch of paper towels. Fabric, you're going to pin it down, tape it down, and you have a couple of choices. You have something that looks mostly like this. This one I made with blue school glue and house paint. So there's a lot of different house paint stencils. This was a photo and a tracing and house paint. That's my buddy. You would lay the stencil, and there's a sample I put in with each one too, and you squeeze some dye into what's called the well. This is the inside of your silk screen. This is the outside. Choice number one, squeeze some dye in there. Take your putty knife. Pretend this is a putty knife. And we will go that great noise. You can either be perfectly vertical. I think I have it written at 40, keep it at 45. You don't want to do that. You want to be pushing it through. It usually takes about 3 passes.
So you go from one end to get it there and go back the other way again?
That was my next thing. Good question, Christina. What you do then is you hand me the putty knife off of the, thanks. I saw you peeking.
Yeah.
So I don't think it matters which surface of the putty knife you use. I never hit start. Amazing how that works. So you're going to have an accumulation of dye here. You're going to go one direction. I'm trying to stay more vertical. You can see my inclination is to go this way. Then you're going to scoop it up and plop it back down. You don't have to use just one color. You don't have to use the color full strength. Just some thoughts. Then you're going to do it again. So this is obviously not as wide as the whole thing. If you do this, you get blurry lines. And there's other times when you can go any which way, but for this purpose. Another thing you can do with this is there's some newsprint on your table. Take a strip. Basically, that's mine. You would just lay different strips. You can cut it, fold it, chop it, slice it, dice it, shred it, whatever. Lay your strips on there. Resist. As a resist, exactly. And put several down. So, in general, there's 4 techniques. You've got 20 pieces of fabric, so you can do 5 examples of each. And if you choose, you can come back to one of the ones you did earlier and say, oh, I'm going to screen on top of this. So when you pick it up, that dye will make the newsprint stick to your paper. So you can do multiples. This is going to be speed dating with dyeing techniques because we're going to set the timer. I'm hoping to get started like a quarter after 20. I think we have 2 hours, which is a half an hour per technique. So you can take masking tape, tape it on the back side of the screen. Instructions for techniques. The reason for this is you get an even distribution of dye or paint. Don't worry about washing the screens too much because you can actually leave dye on there and the next time you squish dye through it's going to release the old dry dye. You can also... Yes, with paint you have to wash out like a crazy fool. This is a stencil from TSC, the Chinese lady who's always at quilt shows. I used Blue School glue, and I'm not sure if I soda soaked it. I must have soda soaked it before, but then it was a couple years before I came back, and it is not washing out. So that was a stencil.
The glue is not washing out.
The glue is not washing out. That's why it's a failure. One of the things on here was use a screen without any resist for blocks of color on flat or crumpled fabric. So this I just balled it up, plopped it down, put the screen on top, and squeezed dye through that was a little bit of pink and orange mixed together.
And the white was tape?
No, the white was just, the fabric was crunched and flattened. Yeah, it's really cool.
Very Karate Kid looking.
Very, very graphic. thickened dye in this case, directly on the fabric. Stamping, painting, card scraping, or apply with a sponge. Thin it. Try it on moist fabric. That's stuff that we're working on, fabric. Draw lines with squeeze bottles. I have one little bottle. Oh, I got to put the tips on of each color, and this is the blue. But I didn't have enough to do 6 sets is my total commitment, so to speak. Oh, there is a Thermofax screen at each with the silk screen. Nope, that's a stencil. Oh,
Okay.
and you have a credit card. Let me borrow your card too. It's actually a gifty card. Well, so you can use that with your screen, or you can use it for direct application. That's what the little plates are for. They're your palettes. So, and there are 4 different colored pages, one for each module. And across the top it says, "Be great, don't contaminate." That's a Thermofax, yes. Thank you. Be great, don't contaminate is kind of my tribute to VCR rentals. If you get soda ash on the dye, if you mix soda ash and dye together, be great, don't contaminate, thank you. That dye is going to start reacting with the water that's in the dye bottle. So you want to have your dye here, your supply of dye that you're going to use on the plate, or this is yours, right? Thank you. And this is yours.
Want the dye on the plate.
Dye on the plate, and you can always add more to your plate, and you can work between the plate and the fabric. But just know that this dye here is contaminated. I have this really cool shirt that I stamped on. I had this really neat starfish stamp. It was a rubber starfish made from a real thing. And I used hot pink, but I've been at it a couple hours, and they're like, instead of being this, they're wimpy. It's just pale pink, and nothing hot and sassy about it. I wanted hot and sassy starfish. So I contaminated my thickened dye. So you can't tell by looking at it. It looks perfectly normal. So you're never going to take dye off your plate and put it back in the bottle. You can keep reusing it, because we're only talking, hopefully generous 2 hours. We're going to see how long we can keep going. But you just, something to be aware of. When you have the screen module in front of you, the Thermofax screen is with it. You do not need to use them together. But they should all say this side up. There's a smooth side, and there's a abrasive side. And this is actually made by, it's a laminated sheer fabric and film together. You run it through under a hot light with a carbon-based image, like a photocopy, that not an inkjet, laser or carbon toner copy. And the heat melts the carbon and the plastic together, and then you take them and peel them apart, and wherever the carbon toner is, plastic comes off, and you have a hole. So the plastic is fused on the smooth side, so you can work directly on, and this is where this card is. If your hands are big, or you can take the Thermofax down. Same idea. And this is a great, I have these guys for sale over there. So direct application, I don't want to keep giving you your stuff back.
What is this screen?
It's a polyester, I'm not ready to hand this
Okay,
back.
not ready.
It's a polyester mesh. They used to actually be silk screens, but basically everything nowadays is polyester. You can get a mono or a multi-filament, and I'm pretty sure we want multi for dye. If you have a letter stamp or a number stamp, you could use that with your clear, as a resist.
What was the black for?
The black is, every table has one of those, so you can draw lines, and black, you know, you can write with it. This was a screen again. Oh yeah, and even this looks like this hasn't been washed at all, and the red sort of crept out from the black. And I was like, ugh. So I cut it on the diagonal. I went high tech and taped it back together, and I washed it out in really hot water, and all that red yuckiness came out.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, because I was like, oh, you know, you're trying to have good examples for people, and you do that. Well, it wasn't a disaster. It just looked like one. But yeah, using a credit card, just take your palette. You can use the back of the paper, of the plastic plate, or the front. Pick your die up. You can use either end. And when you are at home, if you had something, a room key, you can cut notches. So it works better to apply the die to the stamp and then stamp onto the fabric than to just go straight. Monoprinting. We have this tile board stuff.
You have one here.
With it for a texture so you're going to take your texture and put it underneath and then use the roller. You want the roller to be on the dry side, not sopping wet. So
How did you make that one? The wavy grid that you were just talking
this
Yeah.
this is corn bag. If you go to the farm stand, that you can buy like a 50-pound sack of corn, they'll sell you the bag if you ask nicely.
Switched it around.
No, it's actually
That's how it looks.
that's how it looked, and I put paint on it to make house paint,
Yeah.
to make it stiff, and I taped it.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
You want to
come
start?
over
Tell me where.
right
I'll
here.
just follow you.
Okay, go down.
Yeah, this is on the one. She put the that plastic vinyl down on top, lifted it off, and then made all these little bubbles. Yeah, and then clear on that mat. You got
There you go.
Okay. Oh, you still got bubbles.
Look at that.
Awesome.
Oh, we gotta get some
print
fabric.
that.
Wait.
We gotta get
Set
that
it right
printed.
here, and we'll get that.
Okay. That is that big blob of paint. Look how it turned out.
Don't move it. Don't move it yet. Here.
We've got double.
Yeah. There you go. And then.
I'm gonna tap it. Fun. So that it stays with the print. Yeah, you don't want to smash it out.
That's gonna look
Oh,
awesome.
that's awesome.
That's better than the leaf. Using the leaf.
Yeah. Yeah. Butt cheeks. Butt cheeks.
Butt cheeks. Exactly.
Well, it's interesting, but it's not as interesting as it was when it was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
I
I thought I wasn't gonna like this thing, but I like it.
I'm going to try this folding over squishy thing.
Oh, that's that plastic thing.
That's how it goes. Don't slip if you walk on the plastic. Oh, that was a. Oops. So, it's another color. Pink is direct. I put extra tools on. Okay. Those are you doing the screen alternative?
It's like
monochrome?
finger
You're
painting.
doing direct application. And those are your tools, the brushes and the sponges. Okay.
Fun.
Already did the green one. That's okay.
Oh, look at that. That's beautiful.
All right, so.
That one was pretty pretty.
Oh.
up to you guys if you want to.
That'll work, I think. I hope. Yeah. If not, well, you know, it's. We'll see if it worked.
Get the dye right on the. You
Sure
put
it
it
did.
on, you can put it here, you can brush it on, you can sponge it on, there's performance.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
use this on it.
Yeah.
I like that there's different colors on
Yeah,
and I'm
you'll need a
trying
little more
to-
dye than that too.
Yeah.
And if it gets down in between,
green
don't worry,
is what I
because
want.
you're not
it.
gonna,
Oh,
I gotta put scouting this with my hands, right?
you're gonna put your fabric down.
Yeah.
Now, my piece of that
You can
first
work
piece
in
is
the rack,
going to be
kind
this
of work
one.
from the
Then
center
I'll
out. It's up
do
to you, or use the back
6,
to get very
7.
pressure. Yes, jelly board is more like the vinyl. You don't have to press super hard. All right.
Where's my?
Jelly heats up a lot on the jelly.
Because I don't want to really squeezy.
You don't want to slide it around.
Alternative. I think you're on alternative. That's what you think alternative. So you're not taking your fabric down. You're gonna put it back in.
I want
So
that piece.
everybody's going to pay attention for a minute while I talk about washing out.
Right.
The wordy handout has more information on it. You want to start with very cold water, and you can do everything together. If you want to do an extra small load in your washer, it's only about 2 yards of fabric, less than that. Yeah, you can, ideally you want to fill it with water and then add your fabric and let it agitate like crazy. And you could even just do a rinse. It only needs one go around in the cold water. Then you would want to add something like Synthropol or dish soap like Dawn, or I got Palmolive has a free and clear now, which was news to me. You can do that in the washer. Do at least, I would say do a warm wash and then a very hot wash, and test it the way I suggested with an iron. If you might need a second very hot wash. If you have very hard water, like I do and Ann does, you want to use some Calgon water softener. Take me away, Calgon. Because that's a water softener for those of us who don't have it. You can also get something called Metaphos, which is sodium hexametaphosphate.
Wow, you said that fast.
I practice. What?
Such a geek.
I am a geek.
I know.
Totally.
Proud of it too.
It doesn't have any perfumes or additives or anything. I have unscented pretty much everything in our house. You can get that when you order dye if you go that route. But for doing what you need to do one time and you're never going to touch it again, Calgon water softener you can find in the laundry aisle.
I got the color I wanted because I don't want brown.
I thought I had. Try to get some of the excess out. It's kind of like painting the first time is awkward. I don't do bag trips.
Well, you got that thing. The red is very intense. I found
Now,
that.
do I have you should make sure.
I'll add some blue next. Well, I should get some purple then.
Especially when it's with your grandson or your dog.
Vibrant color. Oh, yeah. There you go, vote. How'd you do that? Would you use this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's that clear resist stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let's see what happens here. Let's see which side's going to be which.
Oh my goodness.
Which one am I going to? I think I'm going to just lay
Do
this
both.
one.
Oh, that's neat.
Now, do I put the I've got to put the brayer on for it to transfer. So it's going to
Oh, I
squeeze it out
love
in
those
place.
bubbles.
I do too.
That is so great.
That looks good. I
I've
like
never
it.
seen anything like that.
It's magical. Now let's see how it transferred.
Just like we did on the
Can you help me pull?
That's really
I would, but I'm all wet and I would get
There
stale
we go.
on you.
It's
Okay,
fine.
it's good. Now I want to get this one.
So cool.
I want to get that one over there.
That's like the best one so far. That's the best one.
These ladies can use that. So you've got, okay, so start with the dry, and if you want to, you can add a little, a teaspoon, and just like, if it's not, it doesn't have to be perfectly clean. You have to, you want it to be, putting the stuff on the rug.
I'm gonna try and put this on and see what happens. The one that I already printed, I don't mind.
I like that pattern.
No, I'm
Clean up question.
actually I'm just gonna use a rag.
Yep, or you can use your one of your soaps pieces and use that for a mop-up rag. And whoever's doing monoprinting uses
Oh, I like that.
That's nice.
That might be my favorite.
So you got the solid areas by just having a thick paint down there?
Yeah, I scraped with the card.
Okay.
So I had
Okay,
big
great.
blobs and then I scraped
Yeah.
the card also.
There's also way up here. I forgot the sheet protectors this time, sorry.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't have left it there. I'm gonna leave it down here on the floor, ladies, until it's in the dryer. I'm not putting my phone anywhere near this. Yes. Oh, that's great. Me's on a roll now with these things. I like those too. I like the design. You can't do anything. You can't do it for another 24 hours. So you'll be rested by the time you're allowed to work.
So you use like 2-3 different colors?
I used fuchsia, navy, and intense blue, just so I get a little rainbow kind of effect on it. I think I like the way it looks.
Mm-hmm. I love those colors.
Yeah. Less is more, don't you
So
think?
with the dyes, you said go all one direction, right?
Yes, she did.
I go back and forth when I do paint, but
Right. Well,
Dye.
I'm using just enough to cover the...
yeah, and you don't have much left then at the end.
No, see?
That's great.
I think I'm done.
That's one.
That's one.
No, that's
Oh,
okay.
maybe
Thank
I'll
you,
just
though.
try this one. This area
I don't want to
really
mess up
is
your stamp. You don't know me.
It's all right. I'll hunt you down. Yeah. All right. Let's see how that comes out.
Oh, yeah, that's
I make some neat blocks.
And then you sponge the rest of it with this?
background,
Okay.
yeah.
With the painted stencils like this, one of the reasons for using... Oh, those are lovely marks though, even bubbles and along here will. Because if you do this, you're going to get thicker and thinner. If you do this, you get a more uniform. My teachers taught me that. And if you do this, I just think this is easier than this. But it's still a really cool print.
Let's see.
It's still maybe here.
Oh, fun. Hey, that yellow came through really well.
It did that time. I'm gonna.
I like that.
I like that
That's
pattern.
great.
I think I might have to use that when I get there. I like that
looks
pattern.
good. Did you have a stamp for this?
Yes, I did.
Lemon yellow and some intense blue.
Mm-hmm. Great combination.
Yeah.
Is this washing? I think more for the tubes.
And you didn't let that dry down, did you?
No, but I blotted it.
Okay. You mind taking that around and showing it?
Showing it?
Yeah, show it to other people. I'm talking about, this is another way of making a silk a stencil.
Oh, nice.
It's screen drawing fluid and
Then I think I'm gonna go over this side a little bit
put
more
your
in
image in
blue.
silk screening, you can paint it, you can draw it, you can squeeze it. I think it's easier.
Just a little bit, just so it
Let it
doesn't.
dry, and then come back in with this rust colored product and let that dry and then wash it out. And the only place the dye goes through.
I think for purple you need to use
I
more
love it.
theory. I laid it on
You
so
can make
thick,
several
I've
of
got a
those.
lot of crackers, but I think.
Yeah.
You know what I did?
There we go. Now it doesn't look so delineated on this circle.
Oh, there you go. That looks great.
Full screen?
I like that.
Now I want to put a piece down of one.
Oh, sure. You can do it. Oh, good. Yeah, it's so cool to see.
It's one. I mean 6. No, it's not going to leave.
Reveal.
Oh,
how nice.
That's cool.
Otherwise it's going to be mud.
So,
No, I'm rinsing it.
you can make fun of your own ancestors, right?
Not I, said the friend. Somebody did. Directly on the carpet. Getting messy. Want something?
I don't want to make it muddy, but what the heck?
I have several examples of how not to make a silk screen. This was my first attempt at that water lily sketch. I think I used white glue. I did something wrong. Not everything comes out the first time. This was house paint that I sprayed with air nozzle. Rachel, I would probably spread that all out with something, with the brayer or with a card, and then go back in and use the tooth thing, because those thick blobs
really
are going to really give you blobs.
That's exciting.
Put it on the paper. Put it on here. Put that in the fabric. This.
I like that blue coming through.
I know, I'm like,
That's
I'm
beautiful.
scared to push it around too much.
Okay, you guys have a pretty good supply of lead.
So I'm gonna do this.
Then try it. In the meantime, she's getting more wheels. I like the wheels.
If you have thick blobs of plastic, thick blobs of dye, ladies, somebody said if we start putting them in bags, and in general, yes, you can. If you have a really thick, heavy application, leave it out a while longer. If you have a fairly light, fairly dry piece of fabric, you can put it in a bag right away. It doesn't have to go out onto the plastic sheets.
So where did you have the size of the clay? Oh, was that what this was? I did that exercise, that, and the sponges, and the, yeah. That's for texture. I think it may be for the application.
All right.
All right.
Oh, very bold.
Yeah.
Look at
Did you get it?
Okay, I'm gonna run it across this way.
Stick right in there.
Yeah.
Lay one on, pull it off, put
And
a
then put
second
another
one
one,
on.
yeah.
Or you
I
could
was
probably
thinking
do
the same
3 with
thing.
all that.
Well, and I'm thinking of doing something nice too.
Oh, that came out pretty
nice.
cool. I like that.
That's great.
Right?
Wow.
Very cool. Let's see. Now I think I found something I really like writing, making letters. Great. We'll see how this turns out.
Oh, like letters and words?
So that's what is this stencil or silk or screen?
This is the screening.
That's screen. And then you're washing it out.
Yes.
Okay.
Be kind to
Let's have fun.
I will. I will. I need a glass of wine. And not a wine.
Oh, running out.
Not enough.
Need more.
Okay, well, we'll fix
Oh,
that.
this is fun.
Those of you who were on the monoprinting module, you may have seen there's a CD and a little rubber suction cup in the bag.
Need more.
You take the dye and you schmutz it out all over your tile board. Then you take the CD and press it, and hopefully don't slide too much. And then you use the suction cup to lift it, and repeat. And there should be a vinyl board. So this one is a little less.
Idea if I'm doing it right or
I
not.
turned it over because with the spine up, it's all this line.
I'm playing.
That's okay. I have plenty more room to do stuff on. Oh, I see. I could put this on top of my interest. Oh! And then the other textures that sink back or the. Okay.